Imagine a city where the sound of tractors once defined the rhythm of life. A city whose calloused hands put food on the tables of the nation. But today, that fertile land smells of death. In the cold streets of Pittsburgh, bodies lie that from a distance resemble deep sleep, but in reality, they are the silence of life. Fentanyl, a foe quieter than any weapon. A substance that once promised peace has now turned into a ticking time bomb of addiction. This documentary is not just about drugs or poverty. It is about the individuals striving to remain human in a world where every dose could be their last. When we think of Pittsburgh, the first image that comes to mind is green fields and trucks bidding farewell to the evening with the scent of fresh earth. But now, behind the empty grain silos and forgotten shops, another crisis is taking root. A crisis whose face is that of the homeless. Yet its roots are intertwined with the depths of politics, economics, and the human psyche. Fentanyl, a synthetic drug that is several times more potent than morphine, has become the black gold of the streets. Cheap, powerful, and deadly. And right in the heart of Pennsylvania, this chemical poison has blurred the line between being alive and surviving at any cost. In our documentary, we accompany a group of homeless individuals who each morning, before the sun rises from behind the rusted factories, are in search of their next dose. Mark is one of them, a 45-year-old man who once worked as a farm mechanic. He says, "It's like a promise that lies. It says, just try it once, then you'll be at ease. But then, ease never comes." This statement encapsulates the tragedy that hundreds in Pittsburgh experience every day. Urban emergency services can no longer keep up. Police officers recount that on a cold January night, they received 4 consecutive calls for responses to unresponsive individuals, and they were all due to fentanyl. Not only the streets, but also the minds of the people are tainted. Because poverty is not just in the wallet. Poverty exists in hope, in the future, and in the sense of belonging. In the downtown area, beneath the Monongahela River Bridge, there is a small camp of homeless individuals. Men and women referred to by government offices as marginalized population are in reality victims of the system. They live in a place where small fires of survival still burn. One of the women, Anna, is a mother of 2 children she has lost. She says, "I didn't start fentanyl because I wanted to become addicted. I started because I didn't want to cry." Pittsburgh, which once symbolized hard work and trust, now harbors cracks within itself that run deeper than any earthquake. Hospitals are filled with individuals whose hearts no longer beat unless aided by naloxone, an immediate antidote to fentanyl. But here's the issue. Every rescue means an opportunity for a comeback, but every comeback is fraught with the temptation to fall again. The narrative of the documentary does not solely focus on addiction. It also highlights the human connections among individuals, the efforts of charities, volunteer doctors, and hundreds of anonymous people who still inject hope, not into veins, but into the souls of individuals. In one part of the film, we hear the calm prayer of a volunteer named William, who walks among the tents every evening and knows a name for every face. He says, if someone still has a name, they still have hope. As the camera moves through the dark streets, the neon lights of pharmacies and emergency stations create a striking contrast. A society that invests in the reconstruction of industrial robots spends less on saving living human beings. In this segment, the documentary shifts from observational to analytical. The fentanyl crisis is not merely an individual problem, but a structural one. From pharmaceutical producers to illegal trafficking routes, from regulatory weaknesses to dangerous advertisements for quick fixes, all are part of the cycle. The camera then arrives at a house that was once an old farm. Now, it serves as a refuge for volunteers sheltering the homeless. In a small workshop, some survivors of addiction are engaged in creating recycled toys, not for sale, but as a reminder that even with trembling hands, something can still be made. The imagery of that moment, the faint sound of laughter, and the soft background music briefly lift the audience from the depths of darkness into a fleeting light of joy. However, the documentary does not settle for mere beauty and hope. The bitter reality remains. Each week, more than 10 people lose their lives in Pittsburgh. And this figure only accounts for the official statistics. Many are never recorded. They die in silence, tucked away in corners that the system prefers not to see. In the final analysis, the fentanyl crisis in Pittsburgh is a stark mirror, reflecting the condition of many small towns across America. Those forgotten are becoming mere numbers. Yet this documentary strives to humanize those figures again. It reminds us that behind every number lies a story, a family, a broken hope. The cinematic quality of the narrative, with slow-motion images of snow falling on tents, the yellow light of lamps, and the whispers of the wind, presents death not as an end, but as a stillness that swallows the cries of life. And amidst this silence, Mark's voice says, "We are not a bomb, we are human. Someone just needs to cut the wrong wire before it's too late." Pittsburgh is not just a name on a map. It symbolizes a city that hears the silent cries of its victims, but still grapples with indifference. This crisis serves as a warning for all of us. Any community that marginalizes poverty, loneliness, and pain will sooner or later become a ticking time bomb. It is time to see, to listen, to intervene. If you watch this video, do not remain silent. Be the voice for those who can no longer shout. Get involved in support networks, addiction treatment institutions, and charitable groups. For every small step can save a life.